United. Alright, so religions and governments. So a communist, Christian, and an agnostic walked into a bar, and the communist killed everyone. Well, of course, it's not a real joke, and if I think of a punchline before the end of this course, I will be sure to include it. But, as you will find out in this course, and hopefully in this lesson, religions and governments haven't always been at odds. And in some countries, they aren't at odds. And in some countries, well, they're the same thing. So why is this important? Well, it's very important. Our country was founded upon religious freedom. The founders incorporated beliefs within the very structure of our government. And all of us are beneficiaries of this. Even if the person doesn't believe anything, well, they still benefit from it because they have freedom to do, as they like. So here's a refresher, the Bill of Rights. The American experience is unique because we have our freedom spelled out early. Maybe not clearly because, people still bicker about it. But these Bill of Rights, if you don't know them, this is a world religion class, but you'll do yourself and all of our society a favor if you do know your Bill of Rights. Please learn them. Please, please. So, national religions. Well, a national religion, many countries have them. That religion helps define people, and if people are what the government is based upon, well, this is where the Americans need to start thinking. Then the religion helps define the government, right? So if we were in part constructed with religion helping guide some of the thoughts and opinions we have, then we're going to have an identity crisis if we try to completely divorce ourselves from it. Many other countries have national religions. You're going to have an assignment on this. But here's the idea. Our country is based upon certain religious principles. Everybody benefits from it. The way our government's designed is that if you disagree with those religious tenets, well, two things happen. One, you still benefit from the freedom of it, and whether or not you like it or not, well, you don't have to worry about it. Has this always been true? Do people never worry about religion? Has religion overstepped boundaries based upon our government, or has government overstepped its boundaries with religion? Well, all of those things maybe are true, okay? That's the whole point of this course. I want you to think. Pretend you were Pooh, and you're sitting there going, think. All right, so that's what we're working on. And, oh gosh, here we go. I'm American, don't care. Well, a lot of people do have that. So our country doesn't have a national language, much less a national religion. So you might think that this really doesn't affect you. Well, capitalism probably is our national religion if you really think about it. But these different religions affect you and affect your future and affect our society. We're going to talk about a few things. I have listed here pogroms, anti-Semitism, Salem witch trials, really? But what I want you to do is go on a journey with me through my computer to find out a little bit about when government and religion did not get along. So we'll hit Mr. Escape. Let's go check this out. Here we go. This picture, first off, it's a little blurry, so I hope that's a nice artistic flavor, not just a poor exposure or shutter speed. Well, what's the name of this place? It's called Yardy du Zour. Here's the little guy down here. Or Massacre Canyon. That does not sound like a vacation spot. Well, the Turkish forces are said to have shot some 4,000 Armenians here in 1920. What? Why did the Turkish government shoot Armenians? Well, you go over here. This is from the ArmenianGenocide.org. Basically, what about the Armenians? You may have heard of the Ottomans. If you haven't heard of the empire, you've at least heard of the piece of furniture. Well, the Ottoman Empire decided they did not like the Armenians. The Ottoman Empire was Muslim. Many of the Armenians were Christian. There was also political differences. And as a result, what do many corrupt governments decide to do? Well, we could convince them to come to our side, or we could just take them out and shoot them. And that's what they decided to do. About 1.5 million people were murdered. Now, this is the troubling part for me, and maybe a side note, maybe not. Well, the name of the people that were in charge of the government was the Committee of Union and Progress. That sounds really nice, actually. Committee of Union and Progress. Or Ittihad ve Taraki Cemiyeti. Okay, that I don't know Turkish. But check this out. What was their name? The Young Turks. You may have heard of these people. The Young Turks have their own YouTube show. Basically it's a news channel that they're trendy and cool and, well, named after a bunch of genocidal maniacs, which might be poor taste. That's sort of like having an independent news group called, well, the Nazis. Let's hopefully not. Well, I want to close these guys down. They're entertaining, but mildly frightening now that I know that what their name is about. But oh well. So, Armenians murdered by the Ottoman Empire. Why? Religious difference. Let's move along. So here's the thing about the legacy of the Armenian genocide. People posing with lots of skulls. You can go see it, all these other cool things. Let's find out about the St. Bartholomew's Day Massacre. People in charge, Catholic. There's this Protestant guy. And what's going on? Well, people disagree, and then they kill him, and then they throw him out the window, and he's dead. All right, and then people go nuts and start killing everybody. So let's click over here. There's a nice picture. Let's click on the picture. There's just a bunch of random people, well, killing everybody. So, Christianity Today does Christian history. It talks about it. And once again, same picture, people getting waxed. Scroll down, scroll down. Well, all of this is just to say that they go through, assassinate this guy, chunk him out the window. The crowds cut off his head and hands and dragged it to the streets. And then here you go. An explosion of popular hatred against Protestants. Popular here means the people in general. And so some 3,000 Huguenots were killed in Paris, 8,000 in other provincial cities. And once again, to get the whole picture, it is a religious difference, but it's also a political difference, and many times an economical difference. Okay, you see that in Nazi Germany, lashing out against the Jewish people. You see that in Indonesia when the riots happened and when the economy broke down. What do? They attacked the Chinese, who were Christians and who were wealthier, I guess, as a general rule. Munster Rebellion. Well, if you go over here, they put the leaders in these cages. That's just not cool. And where is it? It's at the steeple of a church. Ah, somebody didn't get the memo that you're supposed to be all loving and forgiving and gracious and merciful. They just kind of went with the murder. So getting out of that, getting out of that. Oh, anti-Jewish pogroms. That was the thing actually on the deal. Basically, the Russian Empire, to entertain people and to make people happier, I guess, they would organize a time where they would just run around and beat Jewish people. People would be appeased because they had a common enemy. And it is absolutely nuts. Here's a picture of a photo believed to show children from a pogrom that were beaten and killed. So once again, unfortunately, the Nazis did not invent anti-Semitism. It was going on for a long time before then. So, and this is also a good resource, the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum. If you're ever in DC, you can check out things like that. Something that you have to realize as we talk about religions and governments is that governments oftentimes will use the religion as a way to coerce or as a method to punish, things like that. So be very careful when you read about this religious group is attacking this religious group. Make sure that you're not just looking at it as a singular facet. Because typically it isn't. Okay, look at the government, look at the economics, look at the ethnicities, look at all those things that combined, because typically these things come as a combo meal. They don't just singularly appear. Okay, we've discussed pogroms, we've discussed anti-Semitism in the sense of that's what pogroms really were based upon, hatred of the Jewish people, and we've discussed the Salem witch trials. Well, not really, we haven't done that yet. And we actually aren't really going to talk about the Salem witch trials in depth. We're going to talk about why do we study the Salem witch trials? Have you ever thought that? Like, is it just kind of like a Harry Potter thing? Like, oh yeah, there's witches, let's check those things out. No, it's because of the whole idea of a group of people being put on trial and bad things happening to them, bad things happening to people in the community, and there wasn't so much a law about it. It was kind of a religious law. So the theme behind this is a term I hope you're familiar with our government, and it's separation of church and state. If we have separation of church and state, it means we don't have a national religion, and it also means we don't have a theocracy. Remembering back to your U.S. history days in 8th grade or in high school, England did not do a very good job doing the whole separation of church and state, which for them, for a time, meant, well, killing everybody who disagreed. That's where we get terms like Bloody Mary, because she liked to kill people who were Protestant at the time. So we kind of came over here and thought it might be a good idea to not let the government and the religion be the same thing. But I'm not going to just talk about gloom and doom. We're going to talk about these notable theocracies and how some governments and their religion do get along. So here are the notable theocracies: Afghanistan, Iran, Mauritania, Saudi Arabia, Sudan, Vatican, Yemen. If you remember from world geography, these countries, this list of countries, the majority of them are kind of all in a similar area. People who do religious studies and missions refer to this little section of the planet as the 1040 window. Those are latitude markers. And in that section, there is a very high frequency of Islamic countries. Okay? So through that region, that's the Middle East and North Africa, are where these countries are. One of these is not a Muslim country. I'm not going to tell you which one. I hope you can figure that out on your own. So of these countries, we're going to take a trip and visit them to just see how well religion and government get along and how it affects the people that live there. Sweet! So let's go to my browser window to Afghanistan. Here we go. Afghanistan. We're warned against travel because of instability and threats from terrorist organizations. Well, that doesn't sound good. Let's see, are they really sure? They have kidnapping, hostage-taking, combat operations, landmines, banditry, armed rivalry, militant attacks, direct and indirect fire, suicide bombings, insurgent attacks, IEDs. Yeah, let's not go there. That's not going to be a good place to check out our theocracy visiting itinerary. So let's go to the next one. Iran warns U.S. of risk of travel because there's a risk of arrest and detention of U.S. citizens. Dang it. Okay, let's scroll down. Wait, they repress minority religious and ethnic groups, including Christians, Baha'i, Arabs, Kurds, Azeris, and... Okay. Whoa, they have detained and harassed U.S. citizens? Well, we're not going to... Whoa, that doesn't look good at all. Okay, so Iran's out. Let's go to the next one on the list. Mauritania. Here we go. Avoid travel to eastern Mauritania because of terrorist groups, included Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb and ISIS. Okay, not doing that. Saudi Arabia. Now this is going to be a good country, right? Because they're pretty well to do. And this says consider the risk of travel due to terrorist groups. And it says here that there's been 34 terrorist attacks since 2016. Okay, we're not going there either. Sudan, you're next on the list. And this just says don't go. That's not good. Terrorist groups have stated intent to harm Westerners through suicide operations, bombings, shootings, kidnappings, home invasions, yeah, not doing Sudan either. Okay, what's next? Here we go. Oh, this looks different. What is this? Okay, the Vatican City. I went to the alerts and warnings page for travel.state.gov. It's a good resource if you travel. And there were no matching records. So, if you want to go see what a theocracy looks like, and you don't want to end up on YouTube begging for your life, the Vatican City is a winner. Okay? So this is a good one. We got one left. Let's check it out. Yemen. Against all travel to Yemen, high security threat, conflict, terrorist activities. Doggone it. Okay. So that's not going to work. And just for kicks, I was going to share with you a group in Yemen that's over here in the western side, trying to take over a chunk of Yemen. They're called the Houthi. And the Houthi are backed by Iran. Now, if you remember from the chapter on Islam, Iran adheres to a specific sect of Islam. And if they are supporting another group, that will imply that they're the same sect. So be thinking, what group is the Houthi? And let's check out their flag just to see what these people are about. This is the flag for the Houthi. They raise this banner, and you don't see too many all-white flags out there. It's like a surrender flag with a bunch of stuff written on it. But let's check out what it says. This is in Arabic, so they read right to left. And this is saying, God is great, which is a good start for a theocracy, right? This says, death to America. Death to Jews? No, that says death to Israel. This says, curse the Jews. And this says, Islam will be victorious. No, victory to Islam. Okay, so not the most welcoming flag that there is. So tourism, probably low on their priority list. So right now, it is not looking good for tourism for these notable theocracies. So keep that in mind. And although it's not definitive, you can't just say 100% this is true. But it really isn't looking that great for governments and religions to be the same thing. Now, I don't want you to walk away with the conclusion that religion is bad because of that. No, no, no. What's happening is the government and the religion together becomes not very good. And I'm sure money and power have something to do with that as well. So keep that in your lid, and also be thinking, who are the Houthi? What group of Islam do they belong to? That's it.